All right, let's see if this goes live. Looking good so far. I think we got some people in there. Look at George. The video's not even live yet. Good work. Nice to see you there, though. All right, I think we're working now. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. Welcome to another live video here on YouTube. Often I will talk about just interesting techniques for people to use the language, to learn the language more easily, faster, with the general idea that you should be learning English as a first language. But in this video, I just want to cover a whole bunch of phrases, a whole bunch of expressions, really. And I wanted to do this for two reasons. The first one is I thought these would be just fun for you to learn the vocabulary, especially if you can learn these things the same way natives do, because these are the same things I teach my kids. And the second thing is it will also help you understand not just learning the vocabulary, but how natives use the vocabulary. So hopefully it's a combination of learning things and understanding how to use them the same way natives do. So let's get right into it. We're going to cover 11 of these, and this probably won't be that long of a video, but as usual, I will take some time and answer any questions people have. All right. So nice to see everybody there. If you do have questions, just post them in the chat. I will keep my eye on that as I go through this. Some of these phrases will have rhymes in them, like I just used, keep an eye on that in the chat. So it's a rhyme, and it makes it a little bit easier for you to remember these phrases. Remember, these are the same things that natives are also teaching their kids, and just remembering things in general. This is like everyday useful advice, but for you, it's useful advice, and you get to learn the vocabulary. So hopefully you enjoy this. All right, let's get into it. So the first one, really good rhyme, very simple as well. No pain, no gain. Now you might have heard this before, but you can see how a very simple English expression can teach a lot or share a lot. So no pain, no gain. So there's the rhyme right there. Very easy to remember, no pain, no gain. But basically what we're talking about is, in order to get something, you need to have some kind of, you got to pay for it somehow. So this is another way of saying no free lunch. So there's no free lunch. Or anytime, if you're actually in a physical exercising, if you want to get your muscles bigger or just become more, build up your strength, then you're going to have to go through a little bit of pain to get that thing. So no pain, no gain. As I said, these are actually quite simple, and they're really quite easy to remember, as you'll see as we go through the list. But really, these are some very simple things. And once you understand it, you can also apply it to many different situations. So I can talk about no pain, no gain for my kids as they're doing studying or something like that. So my older daughter Aria is now learning Japanese characters, and so she's learning to read and write in English and Japanese. And as she does that, there will be times where she gets frustrated. And I know the same thing for me, and I remind her, hey, no pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. So sometimes we have to do things we don't really like so much in order to do this. So it could be no pain, no gain for studying, or for learning something, or for work, or for sports, or really anything. So we have to usually give up something to get something. All right. I try to make English as painless as possible for people, but typically this holds true. No pain, no gain. If I don't see any questions about particular vocabulary, I will just keep moving. All right. Pretty simple. No pain, no gain. Also, if you arrive late, or you just want to know what we'll be covering, you can click on the links, or actually on the vocabularies listed in the description down below this video. All right, what do we have for number 2 from my list over here? All right, this is another really useful expression. Again, I thought I had this kind of collection. I had to spend a while looking for some good things. But this is one I've also taught my children. Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Now this is a phrase that people use to remember which way to turn a screw. So when you're using like a screwdriver, you're trying to turn something, we want to turn. So if we're looking at the screw, imagine like this is a screw and it's into the wall like this. We want to turn to the right. Turn to the right like that. So turn to the right to make it tighter. So to push the screw in, and then if we want to make it loose, we turn to the left. So this is every screw. So righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. So if you want to make something tight, you can turn it to the right. And if you want to unscrew that, you turn it to the left. Very simple, righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Now, loosey, this is not actually a word. You will get probably spell check on that. But again, this is for the purposes of remembering this. The regular word is just loose without the Y there. But this is, I suppose you could also remember it as like right tight, left loose, but it sounds a little, I don't know, it sounds less fun. So especially for teaching kids to, if you're showing them how to do something, righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Let's see, MBO says, can I use English to English dictionary to get fluent in English? Well, fluency requires a lot more than just knowing some vocabulary. You also have to be prepared to use it, and also prepared to understand different natives when they say various vocabulary, or even if they say vocabulary that you know in unexpected ways. So they might pronounce it less clearly. Let's say so here's a perfect example from this. This is a Japanese example, but it's the same idea. So I can study, look at this middle character right here. These two are pretty easy to read, but if this middle one here, now I'm gonna draw the actual. I'll write the character up here just so you can see what it looks like. But it's a lot different from how it looks on the page. So if I'm gonna draw it like this, so this is supposed to be this, but you really wouldn't. Yes, exactly. So, but you wouldn't like know what that is just to look at the character. And so when you have something like that, it's the same thing in English. So you could have you could know some English, like you're hearing some English in a lesson, and you understand the teacher very clearly. But other people might not be so clear. So when I look at this bottle, the first time I'm like, oh, I don't understand what that character is supposed to be. But after I learn, now I understand what that is. So again, it's the same thing. Just looking up the definitions of things in dictionaries, it's useful and it will be helpful to learn vocabulary, but it's different from actual communication. So it's part of the process, but really the number one thing you need to do is make sure you understand the vocabulary like a native. And you become more used to understanding vocabulary as you learn it like a native and as you hear more natives using that vocabulary. Okay, so you need those two things. That's the core. So that's why I'm trying to give you examples here. So we begin like righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. That's an easy thing you can understand visually, and that's why children learn these same phrases. I think even in a video, my older daughter Aria learned this from just a video it's a song for little kids. Let's see, Danny says, would you please explain mess up, different uses? Well, this just means to confuse something or to take something, like if I take this character right here, and now I just messed it up. So I've changed it in some way, or I've made it worse, or I've taken it and destroyed it somehow. So you take typically something that's nice and clean and ordered, and then you just messed it up. So you could see that in many different situations. I encourage you to look for more, but again, that's the same way we want to look up regular vocabulary. We want to get lots of different examples of that help you understand it. So this video, I don't want to cover even more vocabulary. I want to stay focused on the stuff we're talking about, but that's a good thing for you to think about. All right. Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Hopefully that makes sense. And let me know if you have anything you still don't understand about the specific vocabulary we're covering here. Also, I think somebody just asked how often these are. Typically, these lessons are maybe once a week, maybe. It just depends on when I have time to do them. So next week will probably be, I think, Monday, my time. So it is now Friday morning in Japan. All right, this is another one, probably less common that you might not know, but many native speakers will know this. And this is, leaves of 3. Whoops. I really can never write and talk at the same time. R-E-E. Leaves of 3, let it be. Now again, this is a useful phrase for just while you're out hiking, you're traveling around out in nature, and you see any kind of, when you see plants like this, like leaves of 3, so if you see leaves of 3, let it be because it might be poisonous. So this is like for poison oak or poison ivy, poison sumac, that kind of thing. So anytime you see plants like this, especially if you like to go hiking, leaves of 3, let it be. Like that Beatles song, let it be. So let it be is just leave it as it is, don't touch it, do anything with it, to let something be. All right, but let it be even by itself is a really great expression. Like if your kids are asking you lots of questions, I just say, hey, let me be, let me focus on what I'm doing right now. Let it be, or let me be, or let them be. Okay, let it be, let it be. All right, let me go back, check chat, make sure everybody's still following us here. Mahmoud says, I am an Egyptian who is a beginner in English. I cannot understand everything you say, but I have a wish to be a speaker like you one day. And Zakin, let's see. There's a rule to know how to pronounce some words after some words. Like how can I pronounce he after the word and there's a reduction or not? Thanks to solve them. You should get Frederick. Click on the link in the description below this video. Get the app and it will teach you all about how to pronounce things, and it will teach you the rules without you consciously studying the rules. You will just automatically absorb them by playing with the app. So if you'd like to pronounce things correctly, and it sounds like you do, this is what's going to do it for you. Get the app. It's awesome. I spent a lot of time building it to make sure people had the perfect resource for that, so get the app. All right, Olga says, thank you so much for your help. It's my pleasure. Big fan from Brazil. You are the best. Again, you would say, this is a big mistake I see people make. Thank you, Tiago, for that, but you would say you. Remember your apostrophe. Now you can test whether apostrophe is correct or not if you can remove the apostrophe and then you have like you are. So the full words, you are, if you just say your, that's like mine, like this is my marker. Yes, I'm sure you probably got that correct, but a lot of people still make these mistakes, and embarrassingly, natives make them a lot as well. I think people get worse over time, like young people today, they're just, I feel like an old man talking about like these young kids, you know, so they can't use this properly. They often make simple mistakes like this. All right, hopefully this makes sense. Leaves of 3. Let it be, let it be, let it be. All right, moving along here. All right, number 4. What do we have here for number 4? All right, this is an interesting one, more useful for people in the United States. Spring forward, forward, fall back. Spring forward, fall back. Now this is for in the United States, and I don't know if other countries use daylight savings time or not, but the United States does change the time in the spring and the fall, so that way we basically get more hours of daylight to do stuff. So for daylight savings time, this is spring forward and fall back. So these are both like interesting phrasal verbs as well, but we're playing on the name of the season here. So when you spring forward, you're actually moving forward. So we turn our clocks ahead 1 hour, and we fall back. We turn our clocks back an hour in the fall. So spring forward, fall back. So fall back can also mean we're moving back, like if I'm fighting someone, but I'm retreating like this, to fall back as well. That's another use of that. Or I can spring forward to jump ahead. So spring forward and fall back. Spring forward and fall back. So this is useful for me when I'm speaking with people back in the United States because Japan does not change their times during the year. Spring forward, fall back. All right, pretty easy. Pretty easy. All right, 5. Let's see here. All right, here's another simple one. You may have heard this before, but an apple a day. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. You will also hear dentist for this. And this is a basic meaning of eat healthy, but specifically eating apples, like trying to be healthy, keep yourself healthy by eating an apple. And now we have, again, another useful phrasal verb to keep something away. So you're trying to push something away for yourself, like there's a dog trying to bite you and you try to keep him away with a stick. So you're trying to push him back. So we want the doctor to stay away. So that way we don't have to go see the doctor if we remain healthy. So an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Yes, there are many of these phrases, wakey, wakey, rise and shine. I wanted to do stuff that specifically had rhymes in it because it makes this easier to remember. All right. Some of these actually do not have rhymes, but they're just very useful. An apple a day keeps the doctor or the dentist away. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. All right, pretty easy, pretty easy. So whenever you learn, you hear an interesting expression like that, look at the pieces of that. So see if that can help you understand something like a phrasal verb that you did not understand before. All right, what are we at now? 6. This is a slightly trickier one, but pretty actually easier to understand. And again, I'm trying to talk and write at the same time. A stitch in time. A stitch in time saves 9. Here, I'll write the word out for you. Typically, when we're writing letters or writing numbers, we write the numbers out like 1 to 9 like this, and then once we get to 10, we start using numerals like this. So we would write out 1, 2, like that, until we get to 10. But some people will also use numerals just to make it easier and more obvious for people to read. All right, a stitch in time saves 9. Have you heard this before? This is an interesting expression. It's a little... Maybe it's not, I guess it's not really uncommon, but some older people definitely know what this means. So a stitch in time. So first of all, to do something in time, remember we've got let's just imagine a time period here. So any time within this time period, this would be in time. So I'm doing something in time, And that just means from the start point until something else happens, all right? So the idea here is that, let's say I've got like a pair of pants, maybe some shorts or something, and I've got like pockets on the back of them, and there's stitching. If we look very closely, you can look at here's my shirt right here. So you can see the stitching on the inside of this, the stitching. So the stitch, each time we stitch something, this is where we take the needle. Here's a little needle with the thread going through it. And so we pass that through to stitch something up, to fix something like that, to stitch something. So a stitch in time saves 9 means that if we have maybe even a small problem, like there's a small rip or a small hole in something, we should fix it now. So a stitch in time, so that means we should fix it. If we have a problem, we should fix that thing now before it gets bigger. Okay, so if we fix something now, so a stitch, if we do the stitch here or here or here or here or here, before it really rips, that's much easier. It's easier to do 1 stitch than to do 9 stitches after there's a big problem. Okay, so if I have my pocket here and I notice a little hole or something, I should fix it now with 1 quick stitch, or I can wait. And then maybe, oh no, the hole gets bigger and now I have the pocket is, I don't know, it's kind of like hanging off of my butt or something a little bit like that. So if I fix it quickly, then I don't need to deal with a bigger problem later. Okay, so the bigger problem will require more stitches over here. So instead of 1 stitch, now I have to do 9 stitches. It will take more time to solve the problem. Okay, now you can see how this would be applied in many different situations. So we have a stitch in time saves 9 for, here's a physical example of it, but we might also talk about this like in business. If we have an issue with something, maybe we see, oh no, there's like a problem with some business situation, some like accounting. It looks like a small problem right now, but if we don't solve that, then it will become a bigger problem in the future. So it's better to fix it now. A stitch in time saves 9. And there will be many ways to express this same idea. This is just one of them. A stitch in time saves 9. And what's nice about all these phrases, these expressions, these, you could call them proverbs or sayings that I'm teaching you here, you can just use them in a conversation when something happens. So if you're talking to a person about like the business situation and like they say, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this now, or maybe we still have time to do something, or they say, no, it's not really a big problem. I say, well, a stitch in time saves 9. And they would think, okay, like, yeah, maybe we should try to fix that thing now, all right? But it's great just to use it as an English learner using the phrase. So a stitch in time saves 9. You can just use this anytime you're giving advice about something, encouraging people to take action now rather than wait until there's a bigger problem. Okay? Pretty easy. Let me check comments, but nice to see we are rolling through over here. All right, Ilder says, what's going on, Drew? Just in time. The new lesson must be very useful. Well, you tell me. Hopefully it's useful for you. Also, if there are any specific topics that I have not covered, or there's something you still don't understand or you'd like me to cover, let me know, and that could very well become a new lesson. Cornelio says, very good. Nice to see you. XDL. Oh, today is Chinese New Year. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have the Lantern Festival here in Nagasaki. So we actually have lots of really big Chinese, like Chinese lanterns and lots of big characters made out of paper lanterns. So many people come to see that. Let's see, Maya says, how these rhymes are saying helps improving the pronunciation communication. Please explain the process. Well, think about it this way. Each time you learn a new word or phrase, you feel more confident about that particular thing. And so in a conversation, if you don't feel confident about something, you won't use it. So what I'm doing here with these things is I'm using a larger phrase or a larger expression or saying to help you learn like individual pieces of the vocabulary. That could be phrasal verbs or new vocabulary, but it becomes easier to remember as you're learning them together. All right, so a stitch in time saves 9. So you're learning a little bit of culture, you're learning a little bit of just good advice, you're learning the vocabulary, and you're hearing how a native would pronounce these things. So you're getting all of these things together in one phrase, and that's why I selected these things to teach you. Okay, so as you review these things, you learn more expressions like this, like, oh, that's a good phrase, and it helped me understand some other vocabulary as well, like the vocabulary inside here. But part of this is, or I guess another big part, is understanding how native speech works. Because a learner might say something much longer in this expression or in this situation when you really can say something very simple. So a learner might say, we should solve this problem now before it gets bigger. Maybe they would say that. So we should solve this problem, or we should fix this thing before it becomes a bigger problem. So that's a much longer way of expressing this same idea. So that's why we have, because this is a common thing, a problem is small. Usually problems start small and then they get bigger if you don't handle them. Okay, so this is another reason. Really, there are many good reasons why this is helpful for developing fluency. But remember that you develop fluency in individual words and phrases as you understand them better. Okay, that's why I'm just showing these as an example. So if you feel confident about this, like, oh, look at that, a stitch. Like now I know the word for that one little mark on a piece of clothing. So we have this piece of fabric connected to this piece of fabric, stitch, 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 stitch. Those are all stitches. It's the same thing when you go, like let's say I have a scar on my face. I cut my face, I don't know, I fell off of my bike and I cut my face. I need to get stitches. Same idea, okay? So if this is me over here, and I have a big cut on my face. Ugh, look at that, and the blood dripping out. Ugh. I need to get some stitches to close that up, okay? So as you're learning the vocabulary, you feel more confident about many different things. I'm helping you develop a network in your mind that makes you feel very confident because you understand the vocabulary very well, okay? And then you'll feel more confident about using it. So you should be thinking about this as you learn all kinds of things. So whatever vocabulary you're learning, you want to learn it until you feel confident using it. So get more examples or get like examples of this expression, whatever the vocabulary is from different people, like different people saying those things. All right, Diana says, give him a thumbs up. His job is incredible. Well, thank you very much, Diana. I appreciate that. Nils Beck, saving 9 or saves 9? Well, it saves 9. Remember, it saves that, like to save you from doing something. All right. And again, this is, you can see how like the native English is compressed and we can remove many words from the sentence. But what we're basically saying is a stitch in time saves you from having to do 9 stitches. Okay. So a stitch in time saves you from having to do 9 stitches or having to make 9 stitches or having to stitch 9 times, all right? So saves 9 stitches. So we're not saving like in 9 something, like we're talking about how many stitches. So either you do 1 stitch now, like let's say I have a scar on my face, or not a scar, not just a cut on my face like this. So if it's a small cut, then I should get 1 stitch on there, and then my skin will heal. But if I don't put stitches in it, then maybe the heel, the cut will get bigger. Maybe I catch my face on something and it just like rips my face or something. It's pretty awful, but hopefully it's more memorable that way. But anyway, that's the idea here. So either we fix it now with a small action, or we wait and we have some bigger action later when the problem is a bigger problem. Okay? So that's the idea. So a stitch in time, so if we do 1 stitch now, then we don't have to do 9 stitches later. All right? And there are many ways of expressing this, but this is one I wanted to do because it rhymes. All right? So a stitch in time. So in time, again, the reason we're using in time here rather than on time is because there isn't like a specific time we need to do something. Usually there's like a window, an area, a span of time. All right. So if like, let's say if I'm just walking outside and I have this, like, I have like a small hole in my pants, maybe I can walk for a long time and it's not a big problem. So there's a window, a span, an area, an amount of time where there is no problem. That's why we say it's in this time. So within this time. So I'm not trying to do it on time because I don't know when the bigger problem might happen. All right? But when we say in time, we're talking about from now, usually from now, until something else like has a bigger issue. Okay? So let's say today, right now, I have a hole in my pants right here. And maybe this whole week is fine. But maybe one day I'm walking and I walk next to a rose bush and there's a thorn. So here's a little rose bush with a thorn on it. And I walk by this thorn and this thorn gets stuck in my pants over here and it makes it, oh no, now I have like a huge hole in my pants. So we don't know when that will happen. So that's why we can't say something is on time because we don't know when it will happen. But probably something bad will happen at some point. That's the idea of this. So if you notice a problem, so if I see there's a hole here, I should fix it now rather than waiting until like that time when it becomes a bigger problem. All right. So now like whoop, the hole got really big because a thorn got in the hole and I was walking and ripped my pants. Okay. A lot of writing on the board here. Everybody getting this, though? Those are all good questions. But you see how fluency develops as you ask questions because you really want to understand the vocabulary better. So we say, why do you say this and not that? And once you understand, okay, now I get it, that's when you feel confident about speaking. So you don't become a confident speaker simply by repeating phrases. You become a confident speaker by understanding what you hear. Okay? When you understand something really well, you feel confident that you will use it correctly. All right? That's the basic idea. Let's see. Hello from Russia, and C says, how many ways to use pursuit in different contexts? I don't know, Google that, and you can find that out. But to pursue means to chase something. You could be pursuing your career, or police could be pursuing a criminal. There are many different ways you could use that, but I don't want to just like list them all here. Olympia says, excuse me, but I love your okay. Okay. Like when I say the word okay, is that what you're talking about? Is stitch same as sew? Yes. So when you're sewing something, sewing is like the act of putting stitches into something. So I could sew something, and each time I sew, like making this whole thing, that's known as sewing. But a stitch is one individual loop through the clothing. All right. So I go like there and back. That's one stitch. So connecting one thing to something else, that's a stitch. Same thing. All right. But let me know if this makes sense, though. I'm glad you're asking questions, though. First task every day is eat the frog in the morning. That's interesting. I've never heard that before. Diana says, can you take a look to the vocabulary to explain a graph? Can you take a look to the vocabulary to explain? What's your question, Diana? You're asking if I can do something, or asking about some English? Let me know what you mean by that. Marcia says, hello, teacher. I'm from Brazil. God bless you. Well, God bless you too. Welcome to the party. Elder says, yesterday I watched a video about walkie-talkie radio nowadays. It's named ham radio, and I live stream with 12 guys from different English-speaking countries. It was awesome for listening training. Yeah. Again, that's another example of naturally varied review where you would hear lots of different people speaking. It's even better if you can hear them saying the same thing, so your brain really can process the difference between those sounds. All right, but yeah, excellent. I don't think walkie-talkies are known now as ham radio. I think it's actually two different things, because walkie-talkies are still a thing where you're just communicating with somebody else, and I think ham radio is a different thing. But correct me if I'm wrong. All right, we're moving along here, about halfway done. All right, let's see, 7. Now this is an interesting expression. This is pretty funny that I heard years ago in California. It might be still used over there as well, but again, it doesn't matter if you're living in California or not. I thought this was an interesting expression. I would share this with you here. So if it's brown, flush it down. I'll put little lines up here. If it's yellow, let it mellow. Okay, another set of rhymes here. Now, this is, again, from California, where they have problems with water shortages. And so people trying to conserve water, they want to keep water, not waste the water. So this is talking about going to the toilet in California. So I thought that would I remember hearing this. I said, oh, wow, that's like an interesting phrase. So if it's brown, flush it down. And if it's yellow, let it mellow. So mellow is just like, yeah, just let it sit there, relax. Like, yeah, I have a very mellow disposition. So mellow, you can just use this also just for talking about people. So if you do a poop in the toilet, you should flush that down. Don't keep that sitting in the toilet. But if you just pee, then we can let that sit there for a while. That way we can conserve water for when there's like a big thing. All right, so I thought that was very interesting, and when I heard it, of course, I remembered it very quickly, and I did my best to conserve water by flushing down the brown and letting the mellow or letting the yellow mellow. All right. Incidentally, just related to this, your pee, it shouldn't really be yellow. If it's yellow, you should probably be drinking more water. Drink more water. You don't want like yellow. You know, that's like, drink more water. Get more water in your life, you know, like I have here, my delicious, my natural mineral water over here. All right, if it's brown, flush it down, and if it's yellow, let it mellow. All right. Again, just like we had let it be before, let it be, like leaves of three, let it be. So let something, to let something do something, just leave it alone. It's okay. All right, moving along. Number 8. All right, what do we have for number 8? Oh, this is another good one. Good advice, also a good way to remember some vocabulary. When in doubt, throw it out. And you can see already in these phrases, these expressions, how often phrasal verbs are used, like throwing something out, to throw something out. This is advice for talking about food. So if you see some food and you don't know if it's old or not, so maybe you open your refrigerator door and you see some food in there. Here's my refrigerator and I've got, here's some like plate of something. And I pick it up, I say, I don't know if that's good or not. So when in doubt, so when you are in doubt, you are unsure about something, throw it out. So if you're unsure about some food, whether it's good or not, then you should probably get rid of that thing. Another good phrasal verb, to get rid of it. Get rid of it. To dispose of that thing, to get rid of that thing. And you will hear this a lot. We need to get rid of something. We need to get rid of this problem. We need to get rid of this food or this, I don't know, this person in my life that I, you know, someone I don't like. But when in doubt, throw it out. Same idea. So get rid of it. You can probably create your own expressions as well, like to get rid of something that you don't like, but think of an interesting rhyme for it. I just like this one. When in doubt, throw it out. Another thing related to this, get rid of hurdles. Yes, well, that's another expression like it, but typically in life, we can't just get rid of the hurdles. We have to go over them or go around them, I suppose. But yes, similar kind of idea. So scuba divers must control the hydration every day. Well, really, everyone should be controlling their hydration. Drink lots of water. That's good advice for everyone. All right, when in doubt, throw it out. When in doubt, throw it out. All right, let's see here. Number 9, nice, easy one, haste. Make that better for you. So even me right now, I'm let's see, haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. Another great rhyme, very simple, easy to remember. Haste means you're doing something too quickly, like you're in a hurry and you're not doing something very well, so you could cause a problem that you will have to go back and solve later. All right, it's kind of similar to a stitch in time saves 9, but instead of having a small problem, the problem really is just trying to do things too quickly. All right, so take your time. If you do something too quickly, maybe it will not look so good or whatever. So I was just joking because this is a problem I have. I don't like taking time to write things clearly on the board. So haste makes waste. So I should probably take a little bit more time, write things more clearly so it's easier for people to read. All right, so haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. And these are the kinds of expressions, the reason I wanted to give a bunch of them, as I mentioned, is because it really shows you how short and easy you can make things and still sound very much like a native. Haste makes waste. So don't rush, take your time. So even shorter than this would be don't rush. Don't rush or take your time. But what I like about this phrase is it has the advice here, like haste makes waste. So this is the result of this. So if you are being too hasty, If you are doing things too fast, you are not paying attention, or you are in too much of a hurry, and you will probably cause some kind of trouble. Haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. All right, Patty says, you're speaking sound of a good native one, so why am I not able to understand other natives? They speak fast and I'm unable to or afraid to engage conversation with. Thanks for what you're doing. Yeah, so this is the common problem that a lot of people have. I'll just, I think we're done with this one. Haste sound uncommon. No, haste is quite common, especially like don't be too hasty. You will hear that, and I'll hear that a lot. Let's not be hasty, all right? Or to hastily do something. If you are unsure about how common a word is, just Google it and see how many results you get. I'm sure you will probably get, I don't know, over 1 million. I bet. Let's search that right quick. How many examples of haste do we get from Google? 109 million. 109 million examples. So again, if you're ever unsure about whether some vocabulary is useful, Google it or ask ChatGPT. But ChatGPT is less good, or I guess less appropriate in this example, because we really want to see how many examples there are. But there really are a lot. If you look for words like that, and this is how you can expand your vocabulary. So very quick note, since people, almost every video I say, or I don't say, but I get this comment from people where they say, Drew, I can really understand what you're saying, but I have trouble understanding natives. So I just want to explain that very quickly again. Remember, there are different levels of English. And the level that I'm using down here is lower, so it's slower and easier because I'm making my sounds very clear. You can understand my words. And the vocabulary I'm using is, it's typically stuff things that people would understand. So native vocabulary is up here. So it's higher in like the speed. And we also have like the pronunciation. So like you could call it the accent. Well, I'll just call it just to keep it short for pronunciation. And then we also have the vocab being different. So if you have different speed, different pronunciation, and different vocabulary, it's basically like a different language, okay? So it's like one vocabulary or one way of speaking for teachers and another way of speaking for natives up here. So it's higher and it's more difficult because of these three things. So often what I do in these YouTube videos is explaining tips about how to learn, or I might share some vocabulary like in this video, or some strategies for any kind of specific skills for that, like improving grammar or pronunciation or thinking in English, that kind of thing. But really to get from here to here so you can understand natives and actually become a more confident speaker, you have to go through basically a series of steps that help you understand and move you from here to here. Okay, so like this is hearing. As an example, we want to take, for understanding the speed, like I would say something so you can hear it clearly, but then you hear maybe a few natives say it as well, hearing the same thing but at a faster speed or with a different accent. Or you might hear it pronounced or said, in a different way. So like I talked in this video, like to dispose. Like to dispose of something, to get rid of the trash, to dispose of the trash, you could dispose of. So or we could get rid of or throw it out. So you notice it's the same situation here, but there are different ways of expressing this. So you might learn from a teacher, like remove. So remove the trash. So I'm going to take it from here and move it to a different place, to remove the trash. But natives might say dispose of the trash, or more conversationally, to get rid of the trash or to throw it out. So if you're learning these expressions and you hear different ways of expressing things, then you will be prepared for real life communication. You will understand people more easily. Even if you don't speak, you will understand movies and TV shows and newspapers and the news and things like that. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life. So if you're wondering, how do I understand natives? How can I learn to communicate like them? just learning this way, and this is not just me, like many of the people that will help you learn some English here on YouTube, they will give you this kind of English. So most of the lessons are, it's slower English, easier to understand. They're probably not giving you lots of difficult vocabulary unless it's a specific lesson about vocabulary. So you can't, if you're only getting this, you're not going to get up here, okay? And it's quite difficult to go from here up to here in a single jump. And most people, like English learners, will know this because if they go to an English lesson and they try to watch an English movie, it's like a different language, okay? So to prepare yourself for that, to get used to that, that's why we have these series of steps. So it's actually very easy to do, but you just, it's like if I have to try to jump up to one stair that's much higher than where I am. It's going to be very difficult for me. But if I have a bunch of small steps, it's quite easy to make that motion, all right? So this is why if you're listening to me or other people on YouTube or like a podcast or anything else, if you're only listening to like English lessons, you know, it's going to be very difficult for you to understand native speakers. So you have to find a way to do this. Either you do it with me, you do it by yourself. It's possible to do it, but you must do this, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, I know we get that question often, so it's good to review that for people. All right, let's see. All right, Rowan says, I need to be fluent in English. You would say fluent in English. So fluent in English. But you would say good at. Good at English. Good at English. Isn't that interesting? So it's better, again, as you learn more examples of things and you hear how natives pronounce things or say things differently, you will become used to this naturally. You will naturally answer the questions you have that stop you from speaking, because it's really a lack of confidence about vocabulary or grammar or whatever that stops you from expressing yourself. All right. All right, Cedar Beck. Hi, Drew. It's nice to be live with you. Thanks always for the great tips. It's my pleasure. Mash is a hasty market. I don't know. Google that expression. See what you get. That'd be interesting. Miss Guadalupe says, hello there. I'm writing from Mexico right now. So you would say writing like W-R. Now I'm on vacation, but I live in the USA. You'd say I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation. Let's see, Mash says again, I can understand you clearly and easily. Yes, that's because I'm speaking clearly and easily. I'm speaking slowly and clearly so people can understand what I'm saying. MZ, nice to see you at last. I was waiting for your video all the time these last days. Well, I apologize. Yes, I don't, maybe I will have a schedule at some point, but I don't know. I like my freedom. So I know that's inconvenient for people, but I've been trying to give some people more advice about when I do this. So again, the next video should probably, don't like send me a bad email if it's not, but it should probably be next Monday, Japan time, around this time. Fatima says, the first time I can't understand you, but now when I flow you, I can. The first time you mean like the first time you could not, so you couldn't understand me. Is that what you mean? So before you couldn't understand me very well, but now you can understand me better. Is that what you're saying? Olympia says, I admire your way of teaching. So you would say, I admire your way of teaching. So you could say, I admire the way you teach, or your way of teaching, your way of teaching. But thank you very much. Because I understand clearly all the words you say. The first time I can't understand, but now, yeah, okay. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, you're gonna spam the chat over here. Patty says, thank you very much. I got it. I've got to practice my speaking and listening more and more. Remember, speaking practice actually comes from understanding. So you should really think about it as understanding practice rather than speaking. So your brain will make connections. Again, it's the same thing. When I look at this water, I gave this example earlier in this video, but if you look at this thing, sometimes the Japanese characters are written in kind of a like a calligraphy, a little bit messy way, because it looks more interesting or beautiful or whatever for the situation, just like English fonts. So they will be written differently because they mean a little bit something different. And so they have, when you just look at it like this, it's hard to know what that means. And if you just say, oh, like, can you try to write that? Then it would be difficult even to look at this and try to copy what it says. But if you know what it says, as you get more examples, you make that connection in your mind. Like me, when I learned this, I mean, this water has been around for many years, I think, or this like brand of water or whatever. But it just says natural, like mineral water. But I couldn't read that. I didn't know what it said. But after I learned the kanji, now I understand what they say. So I'm getting another example of that thing that helps me understand it better. So I don't get better by trying to like write this in a messy way. So if someone like, draws something like that and I spend my time trying to draw that, it's like, no, that's just one example of something. I should look at other examples and maybe other people draw it in a better way. Like, oh, look at that. They really just mean number 8, but they wrote it in like a kind of fancy art way, something like that. All right. So that's why it's really important to get lots of examples. Another example of this. So when I came to Japan, I heard, I looked at my phrase book. I'm trying to learn some Japanese, and I learned in the morning you say "Ohayo gozaimasu" to people, but I don't hear a lot of people saying that. I hear some people saying that, but a lot of people just like us. And I said, oh wow, look at that! They can just say "us" in the morning, or whenever, just seeing somebody. But that gave me an example that like. The example that you get in a textbook is just one way of doing something. But natives will take the language and stretch it out or change it or pronounce it differently in really an infinite number of ways because people have their own ways of speaking. All right? So that's why you need to get more examples of things. And that's why if you only watch people doing YouTube videos like this, you're not likely going to become a confident speaker because you're just not really getting the real language that you need to actually become like able to understand it and then really feel confident about using that. All right. Let's see. All right, XDL, Brew, you got change your phone. It is working badly. I don't know if you're talking about me. I think hopefully it should be looking just fine. Just say dude, up me. I don't know what you're talking about. C says audacity can mean courage. Well, you don't have to necessarily have courage to do something audacious. You could be stupid and do something audacious also. But look, pay attention for words like that, and that's why it's a good example or a good reason always to get many examples of things to really see how they work. Mahesh says on when you can, in when you can sit inside. Example, I'm on a train, I'm in a car. Yeah, so you can sit I think we had this example before. I think we covered that before. MC says, of course, I respect your freedom first. Yeah, part of that is I don't want to have a schedule, and then if I have to change the schedule, I don't really have a way to let people know that the schedule would be changed. So I feel bad if I'm telling people, hey, there's a video, like that happened last week. So I said, hey, the video will be here, but it was the wrong day. So if I know, then I can plan for that, but sometimes it's not. The Beatles fun detected, says Elder, yes. Lefty says, I'm following you for about 3 years, and trust me, you are the best one. You a brilliant way of teaching English. Yeah, well, thank you. Again, I'm not doing anything different than a native speaker would do for their own kids. That's really what I'm trying to do. But thank you. I'm glad it's been helpful. Turgan says, hi, Drew. Can you give some examples to understand about nonsense versus doesn't make sense? Well, let's see here. So this is a time, so you will probably notice in these videos, like I will get vocabulary questions and I have to choose whether I just say like, go Google that, or if I answer the question. And so in my mind, I'm doing like a calculation of, could you go to Google and find a good example of that, or could I just give an explanation faster? And if I can do that faster, typically I will do that, which is why I'm answering this question now. So if we have something like doesn't make sense versus nonsense. So if something doesn't make sense, if I say like, this shape has 5 sides, this shape has 5 sides, you would say, what? That doesn't make sense. There, look, 1, 2, 3, there are 4 sides on that shape. And I would say, oh, I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Yes, this shape has 4 sides. So typically when something doesn't make sense, like there could be pieces of it that are correct, or like you can understand what the other person is saying, but like there's something wrong with the logic of that. So if I say like all dogs are nice, and I want to buy a dog because it's nice or something like that. Like I'm making something, some like logical, trying to understand something, but it's not actually true. Like I could find, oh, like this dog is not so nice, or this dog bit me or something. So something doesn't make sense, it means it's not understandable, or there's a problem with the logic somewhere. So if I say something like it's just not true, oh, that doesn't make sense. But there are actually quite a few uses for this. So if something like, oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense, you can add, that doesn't make sense to me. All right, so this is a little bit different. This is a kind of softer way of saying something. Like if a teacher is explaining to you, if I say, oh, that doesn't make sense to me, it means like I'm still confused about that. So I'm not saying the teacher did anything wrong. That doesn't make sense to me. All right. So like if I say, oh, that doesn't make sense, it's like, you're stupid. Like I'm telling the teacher you're not explaining it well, but this is a softer way of saying this, so you're protecting the other person, you're protecting yourself as well. That doesn't make sense to me. All right. So those are some examples of when something doesn't make sense. Nonsense is like, it's just like, blah, 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 blah. What did I just say? That was just some nonsense. All right. There's nothing makes sense at all. Like nothing, there's no sense to that at all. No order, no understanding. It's not clear. It's confusing. It's nonsense. So if I just write some stuff up here, I'm writing some nonsense up here. I could even write some English like this tree up you first. Like I'm writing some English, this tree up you first, but it's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. Like it has no sense. It has no coherent understanding. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Is that clear? Is that understandable? So when I ask people, does that make sense? It just means, is my logic clear? Can you understand me? Or is there something confusing about what I said? Does it make sense? Okay. But if I try not to say nonsense, because nonsense, nobody would understand that, not even me. That's just some nonsense. Okay. All right. Good question, though. Adriana says, hey, guys. Neil says, Lefter, what for nice words? I agree with you. You can say what nice words. That's a very good usage of that. Like, oh, that's like what a nice day, or what nice words you're using. Often little kids and like English speaking kids will learn this construction of grammar. Like what nice words. Or you'd say what a nice word. So if someone says, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, what a nice word. What a nice word you said. Or what nice words in general. And often the story that kids are getting this construction from is Little Red Riding Hood. And so the big bad wolf is trying to get Little Red Riding Hood, and Little Red Riding Hood says, oh, what big ears you have. Or what big eyes you have, or what a big nose you have, what big teeth you have. And the wolf says, yes, the better to eat you, my child. And it's interesting, like this is another reason I recommend When I say learning like a native, I mean kind of doing the same kinds of things that a native would do, like reading stories for kids, because you understand there are lots of these, like you'll get a particular grammar construction like this, and it's repeated in different ways. So that's that naturally varied review. What big eyes you have, what big ears you have, what a big nose. So notice it's like what a big nose, because it's just one. And as kids hear these examples over and over, then they can start using those for other things. But you'll notice again, naturally varied review, we take a simple grammar point like this and then repeat it, but it's slightly different each time. And this will help you learn to use things like this correctly. All right, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see. Sita said, let's give Drew some likes. Yes, I'm glad to have the manager back again. To help with the likes. Sita, go find us some more people too. recommend us. All right, let's see. Elder says stitch in time equal prevention. Yes, that's the basic idea. C says, and how to retain plenty different ways to deliver only one idea if we only use one in a real conversation. Well, you don't have to use lots of different ways of expressing yourself. You could just use one. And often people will they will have like their kind of your go-to expression. And so if I say, hey, like if I'm in Australia, it's like, good day, mate. Like people just say like hello, like that, good day, mate. Or I might say hello or hey, whatever my way of talking is. So I might have to think a little bit about expanding my vocabulary. And I made a video about this, I think maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, which is how to get comfortable putting new vocabulary or replacing vocabulary in your communication. So you don't have to even like use different things every time. The point is more to be prepared for how other people will speak. So other people will say different things. So like the expressions I had before about like to take out the trash or get rid of the trash or remove the trash or dispose of the trash. So you might have one way of saying this again and again, and that's fine, but you should be aware and prepared for these other ways of speaking. All right? So that's why you'll notice when I'm teaching, often I will like repeat something. I'm repeating the same situation or the same context, but I will say it in a different way. So I will like repeat. I don't know if I say like we should go, we should leave, we should exit. Okay, like I'm talking about the same situation or the same context, but I'm going to use different ways of expressing that. All right. Let's see. That is the clue. Real English is Maribel. Mahesh says, yeah, it makes sense. Remember, it would be it makes. It makes. So it or that makes sense. Sometimes you will hear me say like, does that, so does that make sense without the S on it? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All right. Turkin says, thank you, Mr. Drew, for my simple request. I understand I could Google it, but still you are one to give a clear answer now. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. And again, like I'm not trying to be lazy when I think like just Google it. So it's not about if I think Google can give you a faster result, I will tell you to go to Google. So if I think maybe ChatGPT or Google could explain something well, but if I could probably explain it faster, then I will do that. All right, so that's the value of having a teacher is someone who can actually explain things, because often you can't find like what is the subtle difference between this and this. ChatGPT is a little bit helpful for that, but I've found it can give you errors as well. So it's still not there yet. All right, XD, an Asian joke. When we were young, our parents always told us to play games with a jolly face, but when we had done playing, we just finished the whole line of Nikes. Oh no, it's like funny but horrible at the same time. Oh no. MC, what a wonderful live performance in the middle of the night. Well, there you go, if I can keep you awake. All right, Marcelo says, awesome class, Drew. You know how to help us find out English inside everyone. That's really great. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Again, my goal is to make sure it's understandable for you. So the reason you can improve with these videos is not by you speaking, it's by you understanding the language well. And when you feel like, like now I got it. Again, I come back to this same example with this Japanese character here. If I just look at that, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, but it would make sense to someone else who understands what that character is. So once I understand what that is, now I get it. Now it makes sense. All right. Marcel says, I'm learning English. Please bear with me. Is it common? People use this expression, bear with me. Yeah, you can say that. I'm trying to think of a better way to say that. That's a simpler way. You could just say, yeah, I'm still learning English. I'm still learning English. Like, please bear with me. It sounds like the kind of expression that a non-native would learn because they needed help. Like, please give me some time. Just say, oh, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. So if you say like, oh, I'm still learning English, or you can say that, like the idea of please bear with me is implied in that. So you don't have to say it. People will understand that and try to bear with you already. Let's see. DAR. What is that little icon right there? The cloud or something? Hi, Drew. I just want to say thank you for real. You're good at teaching. You know something after watch some of your streams. I feel like now learning English is amazing rather than boring and frustrating. That's awesome. That's great. All right. So again, like the only different, the language itself is not difficult. The real problem is that lots of people make it difficult to learn because they're making it more confusing. All right. So remember, I go back to this. This is a good time to review, as always, to review. The English language is it's not like difficult inherently. It's just more how you learn it. And this is why lots of kids, native English speaking kids, become fluent speakers. They become native. They're not born native. They become native because of how they learn. So here's like the English language. You can learn it as a first language, like a native, or you can learn it as a second language, like most learners. And this is really where people get stuck because they're trying to learn the language and trying to memorize rules and vocabulary, and they get like lessons that don't actually help them understand what natives are really saying. All right, and it makes it more confusing for people. So you really need to go back and start doing this the same way natives learn. And that's going to help you speak. But I'm so glad that you started improving. But really all I'm doing is this. So helping people learn English as a first language. All right. Let's see here. Is bear with me can replace by hold your horses? No. Hold your horses is more when you're telling someone else to stop doing something. Like your kids are really excited in the house and they're like, they're running around. Whoa, hold your horses. Relax. They stop moving around so much. But bear with me is like I have a problem. So I'm asking you to bear with me. So in a conversation like that, it would sound weird. I'm learning English, hold your horses. Like they would probably think that was a very funny thing to say because I'm telling them to calm down. All right, but it's more for me. Please bear with me. That's why I don't even really recommend people try to learn phrases like that. It's just think about what a native would say, like, oh, I'm learning right now. Or you're going to say, I'm new to English. That's like a casual, like, I'm new. All right, so like I'm new to English. Or it's like it's new, like it's a new language for me, or I'm a beginner, something like that. But you don't need to take a long time to explain that. Like, or I don't know much English. I don't know much English. So I can say the same thing in Japanese, like I don't know much Japanese. That's how I would say it. I wouldn't say like, please bear with me. I might say excuse me, but I don't know much English. But so you could say that like, excuse me, but I don't know much English. Excuse me, but I don't know much English. But just keep it simple, keep it natural. You don't need to take more time to explain something or try to remember a phrase that you might not get. Let's see, Juliet says, hi, I'm Juliet, nice to see you there. Let's see, Benik says, hello, Andrew, every time you are not here on your regular days, you cause me a panic attack. At the end of the month, all my medical bills will be readdressed to you. Remember, the videos, it doesn't matter if you watch them live or not. You will still get the same benefit from the video. But yes, typically, it depends on when I'm scheduling them. But I think the next one should be, don't hold me to that, but it should be, this is another good expression, don't move this over here, don't hold me to that. So don't hold me to that is like, well, don't, like if it's not true, don't be angry. So don't hold me to that. So it should be next Monday. But actually, if you would like to propose a topic, you can put it, just post a comment right now. Let me know what should my video on Monday be about? Because I do these for you guys. Hopefully, if you can tell me something you need help with that I've not covered already, let me know. All right, let's see. Hi, Julia. Oh, you guys are talking with each other. If I'm inviting to a party, is it correct to say thank you for having me? So if someone else has invited you, so you are invited to a party, you would say thank you for having me, or thank you for inviting me. Or if you're being a bit more casual, thanks for the invite. Thanks for the invite. Or a little bit more, I'm just taking these two words here and just making it a little bit more casual, but a little bit more formal would be thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the invitation. So both of those are fine, but thanks for the invite. Like if you meet some friends after work or something, oh, thanks for the invite. Or just thanks for inviting me. Remember, you're always thankful for a particular thing. So I'm thankful for that thing. I think I did a video about that a while ago as well. 5 W's technique is a good way to learn English. I don't know what that is. What are you referring to? You talking about like learning questions, like who, what, where, why, when, or whatever? I don't know. Give me more explanation. Let's see. City again. Thanks for answering, Julia. Oh, okay, you guys are talking with each other. Raj says, hello, sir, from India. Nice to see you there. Oh, what is that, a bouquet of flowers or something? Well, thank you very much. XDL, according to your great advice, like the word repercussion, I'll be given different but really understandable examples, such as the President Kennedy's assassination had far-reaching repercussions. Yeah, that's right. It's really helpful for me. Yes. Again, like getting different examples of something is how that's how you get. I don't want to go into like a long explanation about naturally varied review, but the basic idea is like there's kind of a core meaning or something, the understanding that you get from getting lots of examples of something. And each time you get a new example, it strengthens this understanding here. And as you get really, really good here, as this becomes, you're like filling it up with lots of examples. So like each one of these situations might be a little bit difficult, like repercussions for Kennedy being assassinated or repercussions for something else. As you get those examples, you feel more confident that you really understand what the word means and how to use it. And then this is where the fluency comes from. So the fluency comes from the understanding, the confidence, all of that works together as you get more examples of things. So it's examples in different contexts, in different, like it could be different speakers. So like even the exact same context, but a different speaker is saying that same thing. So as you get those, that will make you feel more confident about the language, so you speak. Okay? So you don't become a good speaker by learning a word like repercussion and then just repeating it again and again. But you do become fluent when you hear all these different examples in different situations. So you're doing a great job. Keep up with that. Keep doing it. Let's see. Marcelo says, let me ask a personal question. What do you do for a living? What do you mean, what do I do? You're watching it right now. This is what I do for a living. That's what I do. I remember somebody else asked me that one time. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it right now. This is my living. You can see it here. Bernardo says, how can I improve my vocabulary and remember the correct, probably you mean correct word, correct time I need it. Remember at the correct time. Again, like I've covered this in many different videos. You should search that on my channel, like remembering vocabulary or developing fluency, but this is another example of that. Really, you just need to make sure you understand something really well. And so it's if you take one word and just repeat it again and again, you're probably not going to remember that thing. But if you get lots of varied examples of that vocabulary, you will understand it better and start using it confidently. Okay, so repetition is really a bad way of getting something, what people call spaced repetition, which is helpful like after you've already understood something well. And you maybe only need like 1 or 2 instances of spaced repetition after you already understand something. But you should really be getting varied examples. That's why I call this naturally varied review. You want to get different examples of things to really understand that thing well. So that's how you will remember the vocabulary and feel confident using it. All right, let's see. And Danilo says, hi, Professor, how's it going? My pleasure being following your class. Big hug. Big, you would say big hug. If you add the E on the end of that, that becomes huge. So hug and huge. Isn't that interesting? So the pronunciation changes. This is called magic E or the silent E. So we get huge, huge, huge. I'm sure that was just a typo, but this is just an interesting example for learning vocabulary. If you would like to learn how to pronounce things and write them, spell them correctly, F-R-E. Now again, I can't write and spell at the same time. This is why I like to focus, because I can't have trying to do too many things at the same time. F-R-A-D-E-R-I-C-K. There we go. Click on the link in the description to get that, and it will teach you all about pronunciation rules, spelling rules, but it will help you discover what these are rather than just give you a bunch of rules to forget. All right, Amash's topic, speaking and listening tips and tricks. What are all methods to use to improve the fluency and good speaker? Yeah, that's pretty broad. What's a specific issue you struggle with? So I like to make these issues, if you think about what would you be looking for if you're just like, what are like tips and tricks? Like for me, trying to learn a language, I'm really trying to get to the heart of how I can learn something as quickly as possible. How can I understand it better? So, or whatever I need to begin using the language as quickly as possible. And so I'm, rather than looking for just like random, tips and tricks or whatever, I'm always thinking like, what's the core or what is like the real problem I'm trying to solve? All right, where do we stop? Let's see. I think haste makes waste. Yes, we still have 2 more. That was a long interlude. Here we go. So we've still got 2 more expressions. We've been going for an hour. Let's see, it's already 11 o'clock. All right, so 10 is use it. Again, I will haste makes waste. I want to write this clearly for people. Use it or lose. Use it or lose it. So another great expression for you, another good rhyme. Use it or lose it. And I'll make a quick note here about pronunciation. As you listen to me, so even though I'm speaking more slowly, I'm still blending the sounds of my words together, like this. So this actually sounds more like you, zit. So like use it, or same thing over here, like lose it. Use it or lose it. So we don't say use it, we blend it together. Use it, use it, use it. So use it or lose it. So this is what I call the one rule for pronunciation. If you're already a member of if you're a member of Fluent for Life, or if you have the Native Fluency Blueprint, you will find that in there. It's in Speak Like Me, but this is the basic idea here, where we want to connect and listen to how natives blend words together. Remember, this is why it's often tricky for people to learn spelling, especially little kids, because what they hear is different from the way we would write it. So they learn like, oh, use is one word. It's not like use it. They're connecting words in this way. So use it or lose it. Use it or lose it. Now, this expression just means that you should continue to use something, or like you will find you can't use that thing anymore. Like my English. So I get to use my English in these videos, but I actually don't speak a lot of English during the day. I actually don't do much speaking at all. I don't even speak a lot of Japanese. I'm usually reading or studying something or doing some work. But if I don't use the language, I will forget it. So sometimes I forget the meaning of words. There was some word recently I couldn't remember, an English word. So either you use it or you will lose it. Use it or lose it. A similar thing, I've shared this expression before, is move your meat. If you recall this, use move your meat and lose, and sometimes we don't need the and in there, lose your seat. Similar kind of idea. So move your meat, like if you get up off of your chair, someone else will come sit down in the chair. Oh no, you moved your meat, your butt, like your body, you move your meat and you will lose your seat. Similar idea. Use it or lose it. Use it or lose it. All right, last one. Look at that, we made it all the way through. Now this is kind of an older expression, but you'll still hear people kind of jokingly use it. This is give a hoot. And don't, put my apostrophe there, don't pollute. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Make sure I have that. There's another magic E word, to pollute. Give a hoot, don't pollute. So to give a hoot, this is H-O-O-T, like an owl. Hoo, give a hoot. So to give a hoot, like it means like to give a care or to actually care about something. So this is a conversational way of saying this. Like you will hear the kind of negative, not negative really, but like a crude way of saying like to give a fuck or give a shit. Like I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But this is a more kind of a friendly way of like, or a nicer way of saying that, oh, to give a hoot, like you should care. Give a hoot, you should care. Give a hoot, don't pollute. So like don't throw your trash in the water or, smoking or something like that. Give a hoot. I remember like I had my uncle many years ago, he used to smoke. And we were like, my family was visiting him, and he had a little owl. It's like an owl statue outside in his garden to scare away birds. So some people put those little owl statues out so birds will like not come out. So I put the owl next to this spot where he would sit and smoke, and I put a sign that said, "Give a hoot, don't pollute." I don't think he noticed it though. But anyway, in this case, I was saying, oh, you should stop smoking. Stop smoking. Give a hoot. Don't pollute. So even though people might not use this, this was actually, I think, like a specific advertising campaign to get people to stop polluting, But give a hoot, you will still hear this, like to give a hoot, give a fuck, give a shit. Just in regular conversations. So I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. All right. So I don't care. All right. But I do care. Like I give a hoot. I care about your life or whatever. All right. Let me check comments one last time over here. All right. People always ask my occupation by saying, "What do you do for a living?" You make me realize. Breathing is the correct answer for that question. No, it's actually not what I meant though. That's funny that you thought about it that way though. You have a clever mind. But actually, like when people like for the like for this particular situation, yes, like I'm teaching right now. That's also what I'm doing. But yes, like I'm breathing. That's also what I do for a living. All right, let's see here. Alberto says, I want to learn the Lord's Prayer, the pronunciation. Just Google that, and you can hear just on YouTube. I'm sure lots of people have that already. Heat it and eat it, ready to eat it. There you go. Alberto says, you are the best. Well, you guys are too kind. See, everybody says their like teacher of choice is the best, I think. You can go to like any YouTube video and it's like you are the best, you know. And I'm sure that's nice. Everybody has their favorites, you know. But really, my goal is just to make sure you understand things well so you can use them. All right, Marcelo says, could you tell us something about rephrasing technique? Well, that's just naturally varied review. But I suppose I could do maybe like a video about that. But I've talked about that many times already, and this is just if I'm guessing correctly, you're talking about saying things in different ways, and I've talked about that in many videos. Rendell says, teacher, do you think that it's useful to use tongue twisters to improve pronunciation? Not necessarily. You don't need to. Again, like, look at what natives do. Natives are not sitting around just like saying tongue twisters to themselves. They might be, like a child might do that, but it's not necessary. The point is really to understand something very well, to get lots of examples, and that's what will improve your pronunciation. Again, Frederick can take care of that for you. It will automatically improve your listening and pronunciation. All right. If you have any questions, you can post them in the chat, or let's see, definitely the best. Well, there you go, MC back, giving some love. Thank you very much. Yes, if you can understand what I'm saying, but you can't speak as well as you'd like, I can help you get there with Fluent for Life. That's what we have. You can get the link to the description to that in this video, below the video. And same thing for Frederick. You will find that down there as well. I talk about these programs because they work. People are successfully improving with them, and you can do the same thing if you understand what I'm saying right now, but aren't yet speaking or understanding people at the level you'd like. All right, well, have a fantastic day. We got through all 11 of these. Thank you for joining me. The next video should be next Monday. I forget what day that is, but just a couple of days, I think 4 days from now. So today is Friday, Japan time, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yes, 3 days from now. All right, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.